are now at the end of January. It's been an interesting year for Press for Time because, as everybody knows, I'm usually pressed for time. That's the premise of the show, and we're all busy. We all have a lot going on, but I've really been taking a big focus on getting some more shows, more consistency, and I think we're at maybe 5 or 6 shows this month already. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for everybody that's been watching. And today is a really awesome episode because today I get to talk with two people that I've talked a lot offline with, that I happen to be a very big fan of, that are coming out with an amazing game that, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, we talk a lot about them on this platform. People know that I'm a shill for a certain Metroidvania game that I talk about way too much. But I have Vertex Zero developers here. I have James and Virginie. Thank you so much for stopping by. How are we both doing today?
Hi, Vinny. Well, we've been talking about doing this for a while. Thank you so much for having us. It's really
No,
nice of you.
no, it's a true honor, and I know when I asked maybe a year and a half ago, and you guys were very early with everything, and in the world of development, especially in the world of indie, I understand that when you're getting things, those foundations built, it takes a lot of behind the scenes things that we can't really talk about. I'm glad to see that since we've connected, I've constantly watched, the social media posts, and I've seen more and more content from other creators that are discovering the game and seeing the visuals and seeing the gameplay style, and it's really amazing to see. So congratulations on, that early hype that you have already, which is really cool.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So I guess we can go back a little bit to the beginning, if you don't mind. I believe you were pitching the game to some publishing opportunities to obviously get that partnership, and you showed some early build footage of the game, and you discussed, the style, the inspirations, um, like Demon Crest. I believe that's a very big inspiration, which is awesome. But you also talked about your history. You had a career and jobs like most of us, and that didn't end well, right? As far as I understand. And you came to a crossroads where you decided to take that risk that I think a lot of us, deep down as creatives, we always have that thought of, is it time to make that leap? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
how scary was that? And, did you guys talk a while for that before you decided that, I think it's time to do that?
I'm gonna say at least we had like started the company already when we made the leap, in the sense that we incorporated. So like all of that was already at least done. So it wasn't like that much of a leap. At least like we had a foundation a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, what happened is that we lost our jobs and we were working at the same studio together. And then we lost our jobs, and then we realized, all right, this is our chance. Let's really like we have this project that we started, so let's really like take the time and really like
Okay.
prepare it and really go like completely into it. So that's kind of what happened. And we did have to have something more polished to show to publishers, so we took at least a few months, like almost a year, to be really ready to show to publishers.
And going through that process, obviously, you start with a concept. In most cases, you have this vision, and you have experience, in the world of creating. So when it comes to that level of, you've made that determination that you are in the mindset of wanting to work with a publisher to make that big leap. In the world of indie, not every indie developer feels that way, and I understand both sides of that. Some people think that it's primarily a financial assistance. I think that there's much more to it. I think that there is just the networking opportunities, the visibility, somebody else that shares that similar passion for the craft, and ultimately potential resources. And I think that people forget sometimes that when you think resources, again, it always goes back to money, and it's not always the case. So you built this proof of concept, and when you did that, did you feel, comparing where you are now to that, has that development cycle changed vastly from that proof of concept to where you are now in development?
Yes, absolutely. As James was always telling me, like, we have to at least make people dream first, like,
Yeah,
just put it out there, and then we can have the team, and then really like have people that are there to share in our love for games, as well as the publisher as well. So we were super lucky in that sense, to be working with lots of people that share the same passion, and to really like put the vision that we have. We really needed a team.
Absolutely.
So
we knew that the scale of the game was going to be, you know, like large. So we needed a team for it. So what we did at the beginning was to create enough gameplay to show the idea, like the initial idea, like what's the Silent Planet as at the core, you know, like the exploration and a bit of combat. But we wanted to be honest about it. We didn't want to use, you know, like just faking animations, faking trailers. We wanted to show the real deal. This is the gameplay. We call it, you know, like we went for the core of the gameplay.
Okay. Seeing it early on, I was blown away because I am a huge, Castlevania Symphony of the
Yeah,
Night fan, and just the pixel art is something that I know got adopted, years ago to be that refresh, that nostalgia. So a lot of other developers utilize it, but I feel like the genre of the Metroidvania evolved a lot more in the direction of the roguelike in the rogue type games, which personally I'm not a huge fan of the mechanic, but again, it's nice that we have more diversity in that
yeah,
genre.
exactly.
But I love that you kind of go back to that core of the exploration, the gothic architecture, the dark gritty look and feel of the games that inspired that genre. So
Exactly.
it started with the two of you. Like you mentioned that your team has grown since, and I know that you have posted some of the people that have been part of the team. How large is the team now since you've started to evolve?
so we're 11 now, I believe.
Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
uh,
Yeah.
incredible.
yeah, 11, but that's counting the freelancers. But
Yes.
the like the core team, we're around five, six, like five, I think.
Okay, that's incredible. I mean,
Yes.
it and again it goes back to the posts that I've seen when you make those announcements of the team. You see how excited they are for it. So when it comes to the infancy of a game being shown to the public to when it potentially releases, there's not a lot of talk as that growth happens unless you're really immersed in supporting the dev. But it really, there's just nothing but love from what I see so far. And I think obviously the fact that it's there at such an early stage where, people haven't played it. People tend to be very critical nowadays, unfortunately. And, at first glance, oh, it looks like this, so I'm not going to play it, or it looks like that. And it's just nice to see that people are welcoming to it. And the hope is that people, fall in love with it when they get their hands on it. One thing I see too is you did land a publisher, so a little late in the game, but congratulations. That's obviously
Thank
a
you so
major
much.
feat. And can you talk a little bit about like how that maybe that relationship has changed, how you've developed now that you have that extra personnel on the team to assist you with things?
So we were super lucky to actually come across them, a little bit like you.
Yeah,
We came across them on Twitter actually.
and by
So
luck.
and by luck,
Yeah,
kind of kind of last minute for us as well. We
Okay.
were really super lucky,
Oh,
yeah,
and
that's
we
it's
were
awesome.
really
been
lucky, and the cool part was that usually when you meet, because I had experience working in an indie company here in Quebec previously years ago, and usually the relationship with publishers is not always that good. Like many publishers, they might not have the interest of the game itself, but rather the money, you know.
Right.
But in this case, it was just the love for the games purely, and that was that's the main driving force in between us. So I think we were really lucky to meet them and to be working with them at the same time as well.
That's awesome. And I do see that. I see, look, we could be a little transparent for a moment in the world of indie development and just my experience with it. I've talked about some of the good and the bad. And, the elephant in the room is that, the video game industry can be very toxic. It's unpredictable. A lot of times, the publisher side of things can be very predatorial, and it can be scary if you do land an opportunity. Things may not be what it always is, but I feel like a lot of times the writing's kind of in the wall. Like you can kind of see a history of, maybe where that support lies, and I don't see that with Dunes, which is great. And I hope that relationship grows more and more. And I see that they've already helped showcase the game, in different regions of the world, which is huge. And indie devs can dream for stuff like that. So it's a real nice accomplishment. So as far as where you are with development now, I know that you doing the right thing. You do a lot of teasing, so we get very little clips here and there. Do you think that you see us getting a little more gameplay anytime in the near future?
What can we
For
see?
the music, we can discuss it because we already announced it. But we're working with Kid Katana. We are really happy. We are working with I don't know if you know, but it's Remy Gallego of the algorithm fame, and he did the soundtrack for the trailer that we had, and we're in love with the music. It's fantastic.
Right.
And for the sounds, we are working with Jake Chambers, that they are doing a fantastic job with the sounds. Like they are really gaudy, really brutal, and we're really happy with the result as well. So yeah, and when it comes for other announcements, we will be announcing some stuff in a few weeks.
In a few weeks, yeah.
In a few weeks.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, again, I know that it's well under development. So when it comes to, people getting eager, people ask a lot of questions. But for me, it's just I just want to see as much as I can, until because it gets me excited. Because again, 2026 is a weird year for me as a gamer because I think, obviously we live in this world where a lot of things have been delayed. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't have release dates and all that other stuff. But at the same time, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. But I feel like I don't get as excited for some games. I definitely find myself celebrating indie much more. And I think it's because of, we get a lot of the same stuff in the mainstream when it comes to the console and in the PC cycle.
Yeah.
So, for those that are looking for something fresh, indie games on Steam is like, I've said it many times on the show, it's really a wealth of knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of shovelware too, let's be honest. But, if you're into a particular genre, there's so much to find. And again, with your game coming to Steam, it's really a cool opportunity for people to check out other stuff leading, So is there any games that, maybe fairly modern that you've been inspired by that maybe if a player that is interested in your game might want to play before they get to Silent Planet when it comes out?
Fairly modern.
I say that because
a lot of classics.
I mean, we can throw Demon Crest out there, but I know it's not like easily accessible, so that's more of my concern. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'd say we can go a little wider. Maybe in the last 15 years, has there been any games that have been part of your inspiration for making Silent Planet?
Personally, I will say that one of the games more recently that really brought some ideas, and I especially liked the way they did like the gameplay and the narrative was Black Mikuko, because I really even if it's a 3D game, but it's the way the execution of the narrative in different ways, like the different the stylistic choice for each trailer or a cutscene, plus the gameplay itself. Of course, it felt it felt like a sort of prototype for what's
Right.
to come for that studio. Like you can see that that studio is going to be an amazing one.
Right.
It sort of reminds me of the beginning of not the beginning of From Software, but rather when they did Demon Souls, in around 2008. It reminds me to that you can see the strengths of the studio. Other games that can sort of give us ideas or inspire us in certain elements, and that will be more on the technical side of it. It's Diablo 4,
Okay.
because it might sound crazy, but it's some elements on the RPG systems that we are doing might please some players that they like those sort of more complex systems,
Okay.
and for the rest, pretty much, I think we play pretty much all their games. So apart, I will mention the typical ones like Elden Ring, etc., etc. Except in our case, we don't focus on the difficulty. Contrary to what people might believe, we are
Right.
focusing more on the experience itself rather than the difficulty, than the
Okay.
challenge.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I really feel that it's important that people get inspired by stuff that's not directly in the same realm, same genre, because that's where we get, in my opinion, that's where we get some of the best creativity in the world.
I agree.
Is you somebody tells you and you're like, but that's not connected in any way, but it's like, yeah, it can be. So
Yeah.
that's a great addition. Thank you for sharing that.
And sorry, you will be surprised that even games like Moonlighter had some
Okay.
inspiration.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
yeah,
But we'll leave it at that.
exactly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's awesome. Is there any ideas that maybe doing any Easter eggs for any of your inspirations in the game that we can maybe keep an eye out for?
For sure, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. For sure. A few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the more visible ones, but we are
Mhm.
planning others as well.
Awesome. Okay. You spend a lot of time developing, a lot of time in the world of Silent Planet. When you're not developing, are you gaming? And if so, what are you playing? Other than Diablo 4.
Well, pretty much Diablo 4, I guess.
Yeah, lately, yeah. That's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
that's like our sort of a game to go just to spend a couple of 30 minutes, 1 hour, and you know because
Yeah, it's a
that's
great.
pretty
You just
much
put it on and go right back to everything else.
exactly.
Relaxing.
Okay.
Apart of that, on my side, I've been playing just older games. Like I went back to the Prince of Persia on Super Nintendo. A couple of RPGs. So
Okay.
yeah.
How about movies? What kind of movies are you guys into?
Oh, so many. So many different kinds as well. But
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite genre?
uh, horror sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah,
Horror
sci-fi, yeah.
sci-fi.
That's
I
what I
Yeah.
was
think
thinking, but I don't. You
Yeah.
never want to assume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh, like Color Out of Space or
Yeah.
really good one.
We love that movie. It's
Mhm.
especially that scene at the end with the girl. It's just fantastic the way they depict the other one. So we like it as well. What's the name, Virginie? The name of the movie with the TV's Await Further Instructions. Sorry,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's a British movie, and
Okay.
it's slightly Lovecraftian. Slightly.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever seen The Void?
Yeah, the Void 2
I
was pretty
figured that
good,
might
yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
slow burn. I mean, I feel like that's
Oh, Slow Burn
a
is
big.
fun.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, but I mean, A24 movies can get a little drawn out, in my opinion. But yeah, I definitely can appreciate like the body horror and the.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say you being a fan of that, I would think that could help inspire maybe some of the enemies in the world because
Yes.
I could
For
definitely
sure.
see that. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Do you have a favorite movie in the horror world other than Color and Space of the last maybe 5 years or so?
Well, Nosferatu was very good.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it. We saw it in the cinema, really. And we haven't seen Frankenstein yet, but we're like
But it looks
super
amazing.
happy.
Same.
we're really happy that they're starting to really come up with like those kind of old type of movies like that, kind of like monster movies. There's werewolf coming as well soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really exciting times actually.
Yeah, it's a nice artistic approach. I feel. I think that
Mm.
we got lost in the world for many years, where a lot of these um, characters that we grew up with or our families grew up with got very modernized,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I
Mm.
think a lot of times they fit better in their era. I mean, you could find creative ways, but I feel like a lot of them don't hit the same way, you
Mm.
know. And it's nice, especially having Guillermo del Toro be involved.
Mm.
Anything he touches, in my opinion, is
Yeah,
magical. So
definitely.
Mm.
it's awesome. All right. Well, I'm trying to think because I don't want to dig too deep. I don't want to try to get too many things out. But when it comes to your main character,
Yeah.
is that the original design, and that was that always the character? I know coming to that creative process when you're building stuff, sometimes that main character could change. Sometimes you don't know if sometimes you don't know who the main character is. Sometimes you build a world around everything else, and it's like, well, who's going to take the lead? Is she a character that has kind of been around since the beginning?
With the name wise, no. The
Mhm.
first time I started with a character like that was around 2010, 2011. It's the first time that we had the idea of more of the gameplay, but it wasn't exactly the same. And we didn't return for obvious reasons. Work gets in the way. We didn't continue to match. We weren't concentrate into making games as a company. So it was just my day job at that time. And when we returned it to the project, it made sense to have a character like her. So
Mm.
we went through the visuals. We went through different phases, but the personality itself has been pretty much always the same. What we want to portray.
Yeah, we like to think that she grew up, kind of.
Yeah,
She grew up into the world, so like when the world started changing, it also affected her. But she always retained kind of like that same personality that we wanted, namely like really resilient. We think that's very important for us. That she's like really resilient.
Okay.
She grew up.
I love her design. I love it, and I love, obviously I know initially you had maybe could we call it a placeholder of a logo originally, and then eventually
Mhm.
you came with the new logo, and it's nice to see the art style too. Was that always the vision as far as the visual? Because a lot of people forget that sometimes we have art design, but then when it comes to promoting it and visualizing it in cover art and Steam page art, we
Mhm.
go in a different direction. Was that the style that you always kind of envisioned? Did you have her designed in different ways, and then maybe like that's where you landed?
Well, I think the old cover art, it depicted it more in the sense of like Super Metroid a little bit more. So we were going more for her in her spacesuit and a little bit more softer as well.
Right.
But then we
The
decided,
colors, the
let's,
colors too. I
yeah.
remember.
So we decided to really go more for her personality, more resilient, and also embrace more the horror side. So
Okay.
yeah.
Is that something we can potentially? Does that give us a tease of maybe we will see the character in that kind of environment?
uh,
Is that too much to ask?
the in that kind of environment, yeah, we can say that the way we did the I'm gonna mention the narrative to be able to explain that is that previously we were working on a story that was horror oriented but had some sci-fi elements, and it was just something we were doing on the side just for mobile, sort of think choose your own adventure
Yeah.
but
Okay.
for mobile phone, you know and when we started working on Silent Planet, I felt that the background story, the world I was creating for 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 that will fit with this story. And so we started wrapping everything around. That ended up creating the possibility to like use what will be in the game we say that it happens in Tulcandra, but we also mentioned that it's going to happen in two other locations that they are
Okay.
situated in Orion Belt. So you get the idea that to get to that point, you can travel through the spaceship, which in the game wouldn't make sense, or through like something similar to a Stargate. You know,
Okay.
that's going to give you the idea why we mention often vampires in space and well, so if you have seen movies like Life Force, for example,
Yes. Yes.
exactly, you know what I'm talking about. You know, so,
Awesome. Okay. No, I appreciate that because I was always curious. I mean, that was my first exposure, that original art, and um, I loved it. I loved every part of it. I saw that inspiration, but it makes a lot of sense when you look at that compared to where the game is visually. And, it doesn't necessarily match, but again,
yeah.
we can derail people sometimes too. When it comes to the expectations. Um, trying to think try to be I'm trying to be respectful and careful because I don't want to probe too much because the fan in me wants to know everything, so forgive me, but uh I don't recall, forgive me if you've maybe posted about this, and if you can't discuss it I understand. um is there going to be any voice acting? Is this more just narrative, driven through text, or a mix of both?
We are going to have voice acting in English, and but not for the main character probably. We haven't decided. But we think that a silent protagonist will fit better for the story.
Okay.
But we do have plan to have voice acting for different NPCs that will appear in the game.
And the rest is going to be more like audio. Sorry, just logs, so no
Right.
audio.
Yeah,
But
more
the
text.
rest, yeah, more text.
I want to know. I want to know when we're gonna get it, but I know I can't ask that, so I'm not gonna ask it. All right. The last thing I want to ask. I think this is not one that a lot of people ask, but I think it would be good to know if you're able to. When the world, has conventions, a lot of indie devs don't always get the chance to tour the game, to show it to fans and things like that. I know that the publisher has been doing some of that. Um, do you see yourselves or hope that maybe in 2026, maybe we could see you a little bit on the road? I know it takes you away from the development so that there's that heavy balance. Maybe at the bare minimum, maybe your local town, where you don't have to travel far. Is that something that you'd like to do to be able to, be at a booth and kind of show where the game is at?
So last year we were at TGS, so that was a really big one for us,
Right.
and it took us to Japan. We were so lucky, like we've never been. It was really incredible. It was a wonderful opportunity with the publisher Red Dunes. This year, who knows? We can say where we would like to go, but nothing confirmed.
Yeah, no, that's more of what
Um,
I would love to know
yeah.
where you would love to visit. Like, is there a
Well,
particular show or location
we're curious about Gamescom. Um,
that
we,
could be awesome?
yeah, it's one of the big ones, and it seems very, very, very cool. So if we could, it could be nice. Here locally, there's the MIGS in Montreal. There's that
And
as
Comic Con
well,
also.
and the Comic Con as well. So that's
Right.
that's the ones we'd like to. If we can go again to Tokyo Game Show, you wouldn't hate it. We wouldn't say no. Anything else you would say, James?
Yeah, it will be those for now because else is a lot for a small team.
Exactly.
If we could, we will go everywhere, even Pats.
Yeah.
There is just recently was going on a Taipei as well
Of
game
Mhm.
course.
show. So there is so many, but so little time. So
Of
Yeah.
course, no, I get that. And I
yeah,
know that, in some aspects too, when it comes to depending on obviously the complexity of the marketing side of things, there can always be teams that are deployed to help support the game, so the hope is that, Dunes could always do that, love to have you there, but obviously to help get the game out there is the key factor, and getting people to see it and really believe it. Thank you for answering all my questions. What we'll do is we're going to have a link to the developer's website. We're going to have a link to the Steam page. Make sure to wishlist it. Get on the hype now. I'm telling you, everybody, when this game comes out, everybody's going to talk about it, and I'm going to be saying, I told you so. So James, Virginia, thank you so much for your time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Stay warm. Good luck with the development cycle, and I can't wait for that release date. So everybody, have a great day, and don't forget to take care and have fun.